Argentina is known for football, beautiful women, proud culture, and the electric nightlife of Buenos Aires, where the city often feels more alive after dark. But here, football is not just a sport. It is almost a national emotion filling stadium streets and everyday conversations with passion. Behind the football legends and glamorous nights, Argentina still has many surprising traditions, strong personalities, and hidden stories that many visitors don't notice at first. Number 1. Argentina feels like Europe lost in South America. Don't tell me that when you hear Argentina, the first thing you think of is only Messi. Yes, football is a huge part of this country. Yes, people here can talk about Maradona, Boca Juniors, and River Plate with the seriousness of religion. But if that is all you know about Argentina, then you are missing one of the most fascinating countries in South America. Today we are going to explore Argentina, a country that feels almost like Europe got lost at the bottom of the world. In the streets of Buenos Aires, you can see wide avenues, French-style buildings, old cafes, theaters, bookstores, and people dressed with a kind of confidence that feels more Paris or Madrid than what many people expect from Latin America. But then the rhythm changes. You hear Spanish with an Italian flavor. The smell of grilled beef rises from the streets. Tango music slips out of an old bar. And suddenly you realize this place is not Europe at all. It is Argentina, proud, dramatic, beautiful, and impossible to fully predict. Argentina is the second largest country in South America, stretching from the subtropical north all the way down to the icy landscapes of Patagonia. It covers about 2.78 million square kilometers, which makes it larger than Mexico and almost 1/3 the size of the United States. But what makes Argentina so striking is not just its size. It is the way the country changes as you move through it. In the north, you find red deserts, salt flats, and indigenous traditions. In the center, endless grasslands known as the Pampas helped build the country's famous beef culture. And in the far south, Patagonia feels wild cold and almost unreal with glaciers, mountains, and winds strong enough to make you feel very small. The country is home to around 46 million people, and a huge part of its identity is shaped by immigration. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, millions of Europeans arrived here, especially from Italy and Spain. That is why Argentina can feel so different from many other countries in the region. The food, the gestures, the architecture, the passion, even the way people speak Spanish. All of it carries that old European influence. In Buenos Aires, people do not just talk, they perform. Their hands move, their faces react. Their voices rise and fall, as if every conversation has a little theater inside it. But Argentina is also a country of sharp contrasts. It can look elegant and romantic on the surface, yet life here is not always easy. This is a country with beautiful cafes, world-class wine, and some of the most stylish women in Latin America. But also a country where inflation has become part of daily conversation, where prices can change fast, and where people have learned to adapt with surprising creativity. Argentines know how to enjoy life, but they also know how to survive uncertainty. It is a country full of emotion, proud when it wins, dramatic when it suffers, elegant when it celebrates, and stubborn when life becomes difficult. So now I am curious, what country did you watch the 2026 World Cup final from? And were you cheering for Argentina or Spain? Leave your answer in the comments below. Number 2. Argentine women and the nightlife of Buenos Aires. If Argentina already feels dramatic during the day, wait until night falls in Buenos Aires. This is when the city begins to show a different kind of beauty, not just in the lights, the music, or the old streets, but in the way people move, dress, talk, and look at each other. And yes, when people talk about Argentina, It is impossible not to mention Argentine women. Many of them have a striking mix of Latin warmth and European elegance. You often see sharp features, expressive eyes, dark or light hair, confident posture, and a style that feels polished without looking forced. In Buenos Aires, women do not just walk down the street. Many seem to carry themselves like they know the city is watching. Part of that comes from Argentina's history. With strong Italian and Spanish roots, the country has a very different look from what many outsiders expect in South America. You can see it in the faces, the fashion, the body language, and even the way people flirt. Argentine women are often seen as confident, direct, stylish, and full of personality. They can be warm and charming, but also sharp, independent, and not easily impressed. And that confidence fits perfectly with the nightlife of Buenos Aires. In many countries, nightlife starts after dinner. But in Argentina, dinner itself already starts late. A normal dinner may begin around 9 or 10 p.m., and the real nightlife often does not wake up until after midnight. If you arrive at a club at 11 p.m., you may feel early. By 2 a.m., the city finally feels alive. By 4 a.m., people may still be dancing as if the night has just begun. The most famous areas each have their own personality. Palermo is stylish and modern, full of cocktail bars, restaurants, rooftops, and young people dressed like they are ready for both a date and a fashion shoot. Recoleta feels more elegant with old buildings, quieter bars, and a more refined atmosphere. San Telmo has a deeper, older soul, where tango antiques, dim lights, and cobblestone streets give the night a more romantic feeling. And then there is tango. To outsiders, tango may look like just a dance, but in Buenos Aires, it feels much deeper than that. It is desire, pride, sadness, control, and tension, all moving in one rhythm. In a small tango hall or milonga, you may see older couples dancing with more emotion than people half their age. The steps are slow, close, and serious, almost like a private conversation that everyone in the room is allowed to watch. Of course, the night also has another side. Like any major city, Buenos Aires can be unpredictable after dark. Some areas are beautiful and full of energy, while others require more caution. Tourists can easily get distracted by the charm, the music, and the people. But this is still a big city where you need to stay aware, especially late at night. Number 3. The land of football madness. In Argentina, football is not just entertainment. It is one of the biggest parts of the country's identity. The sport first arrived here in the late 1800s through British railway workers and immigrants, but over time, it completely took over the nation. Today, almost every neighborhood has its own football field, local club, or small stadium packed with screaming fans every weekend. The national team of Argentina wears its world-famous white and sky blue striped jersey, inspired by the colors of the national flag. And somehow, a country with only around 46 million people has managed to become one of the greatest football nations on earth. Argentina has won the FIFA World Cup 3 times in 1978, 1986, and 2022, alongside 16 Copa America titles, making it one of the most successful teams in football history. And when the country wins, the reaction becomes absolute chaos. After winning the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, millions of people flooded the streets of Buenos Aires and other cities almost instantly. Some estimates said more than 4 million fans gathered in the capital alone. Highways stopped moving, people climbed traffic lights, bus stations, rooftops, and monuments, while fireworks exploded non-stop across the country. The victory parade became so overcrowded that the team's bus could barely move through the sea of people. At the center of all this madness was Lionel Messi. To many Argentinians, Messi is not just a football player. He is treated almost like a national hero. Born in the city of Rosario, he started playing football at an incredibly young age. and later moved to Spain as a child after being diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency. His family struggled financially, and his treatment was expensive until FC Barcelona offered to pay for it and brought him into their academy. From there, he became one of the greatest athletes in sports history. Messi has won a record 8 Ballon d'Or awards, more than any player ever. He won countless league titles with Barcelona, several Champions League trophies, Copa America with Argentina, and finally completed his career by winning the World Cup in 2022. For years, critics said he could never become equal to Diego Maradona until he delivered Argentina's biggest football achievement in decades. His rivalry with Cristiano Ronaldo dominated world football for over 15 years. Fans endlessly argued over who was better, while the two shattered records almost every single season. Between them, they won an absurd number of Ballon d'Or trophies and completely ruled the football world for an entire generation. But what makes Messi especially loved in Argentina is not only his success. Unlike many superstars, he is known for being quiet, humble, family-oriented, and extremely loyal to his childhood sweetheart, Antonella Roccuzzo, whom he has known since he was young. The couple has 3 sons, and family photos of them regularly go viral across Latin America. Meanwhile, local football culture inside Argentina itself can feel completely insane. The rivalry between Boca Juniors and River Plate is considered one of the fiercest rivalries in the world. Their match, called the Super Clásico, can divide families and entire neighborhoods. Fans wave gigantic banners, light flares, throw confetti everywhere, and sing non-stop for the full 90 minutes. At stadiums like La Bombonera, the crowd jumps so violently that visitors often say the entire stadium literally shakes. Some fans care so deeply about football that club loyalty is inherited almost like religion. Children often support the same club as their parents from birth. And changing teams later in life is considered betrayal by many people. So, do you like watching football, and which team do you support? Comment below. I guess there are quite a few different opinions here. Number 4. The meat capital of Earth. If there is one thing Argentina takes more seriously than football, it might actually be beef. This country consumes one of the highest amounts of beef per person anywhere on Earth, with some estimates reaching over 100 pounds of beef per person every year. In many families, meat is not just food, it is tradition, identity, and social life combined together. And the king of all Argentine food is the legendary asado. An asado is not simply a barbecue. It is practically a national ritual where entire families gather around giant grills called parrillas, while enormous slabs of beef slowly cook over fire for hours until the smell takes over the whole neighborhood. Once you stand in front of one of these grills, you immediately understand why Argentinians are obsessed with meat. Huge beef ribs called asado de tira slowly drip fat into the fire, while thick steaks like beef de chorizo arrive with crispy edges and juicy pink centers. Then come the sausages. Chorizo sausages are smoky and fatty, often stuffed into bread, to create the famous choripan, one of the country's favorite street foods. You will also see morcilla, a blood sausage with a dark, rich flavor that surprises many tourists the first time they try it. And Argentinians waste almost nothing from the cow, because even kidneys, intestines, and sweetbreads, called molejas, are grilled until crispy and served proudly. One reason Argentine beef became so famous is because cattle spend much of their lives feeding naturally on the giant pampas grasslands. Many locals proudly claim their beef tastes cleaner, richer, and less processed than meat from industrial farms elsewhere. But the country's food culture goes far beyond steaks. One of the most iconic foods you will constantly see is the empanada, a stuffed pastry filled with minced beef onions, olives, boiled egg cheese, or spicy peppers, depending on the region. Then comes milanesa, Basically, a giant breaded meat cutlet, fried crispy, and served with fries, mashed potatoes, or melted cheese on top. Another comfort food loved during cold winters is locro, a thick stew combining corned beans, squash sausage pork, and beef into one heavy dish that can keep you full for hours. And somehow, despite the country being obsessed with beef, Argentina also became famous for pizza, thanks to massive Italian immigration. Their version, called fugazzetta, is overloaded with onions and thick mozzarella cheese to the point where it feels more like a cheese mountain than normal pizza. Then for dessert, things become dangerously sweet. The superstar is dulce de leche, a caramel-like milk spread that Argentinians put inside almost everything imaginable, especially alfajores, soft sandwich cookies coated in chocolate or powdered sugar. You can walk into almost any bakery and see entire walls filled with these things stacked like treasure. And of course, no Argentine food experience is complete without mate. You constantly see people carrying thermoses under their arms while sipping this herbal drink from metal cups through a metal straw called a bombilla. Friends pass the same cup around for hours while talking, relaxing, or watching football together. Number 5. Argentina. Feels like another planet. One of the strangest things about Argentina is how the landscapes change so dramatically that it barely feels like one country anymore. In the far south lies Patagonia, a massive wild region filled with glaciers, turquoise lakes, violent winds, and endless empty roads. Sometimes you can drive for hours without seeing another vehicle. During winter, the scenery looks more like Iceland or even Antarctica than South America. And then things get even stranger. In parts of Patagonia like Punta Tombo, thousands of penguins live on dry, rocky land and dusty cliffs instead of snow and ice. Seeing giant penguin colonies beside desert-like landscapes feels completely surreal. Nearby sits the famous Perito Moreno Glacier, one of the few glaciers on Earth that still continues advancing during certain periods instead of shrinking. The wall of ice rises around 240 feet above the water, and huge chunks constantly collapse into the lake below with explosions loud enough to sound like thunder. Meanwhile, in northern Argentina, the landscape suddenly turns completely white. Salinas Grandes is a gigantic salt flat, sitting over 11,500 feet above sea level, created from an ancient lake that dried up thousands of years ago. During rainy months, a thin layer of water transforms the surface into a giant natural mirror, where the sky reflects so perfectly that people look like they are floating in mid-air. Then deep in the jungle near the border with Brazil, you reach Iguazu Falls, one of the largest waterfall systems on Earth. Instead of a single waterfall, there are around 275 waterfalls crashing through the rainforest at the same time. The mist rises so high above the jungle that it can be seen from miles away. And hidden among these dramatic landscapes is Salta, one of the oldest cities in Argentina. Founded in 1581 by a Spanish expedition from Seville, the city began with a strange ceremony where soldiers planted a giant tree trunk in the future town square as a symbol that Spanish law had arrived beneath the Andes Mountains. The modern name Salta is believed to come from the indigenous Sata people, and today, locals proudly call it Salta la Linda, meaning beautiful Salta. Number 6. Argentina never stops celebrating. If you spend enough time in Argentina, you quickly realize people here will turn almost anything into a festival. Argentina has more than 200 regional festivals and countless public celebrations every single year. Entire streets suddenly fill with music dancers, fireworks, drums, horses, and crowds that party until sunrise. One of the biggest is the Carnival of Gualeguaychú, often called one of the largest carnival celebrations in South America. Every weekend from January to March, giant samba parades take over the city with massive floats, thousands of dancers, feathers sequins, and music loud enough to shake the stadium seats. Some performances last for hours, and the atmosphere feels closer to Rio than what most people imagine Argentina to be. But the most traditionally Argentine festival might be the famous Gaucho Festival, held across the grasslands of La Pampa, near Buenos Aires province. Gauchos are the legendary South American cowboys, and during the festival, you see thousands of riders wearing ponchos, leather boots, silver belts, and wide hats while galloping through town on horseback. The most dangerous event is a horseback ring competition, where riders sprint at full speed and try to stab a tiny hanging ring with a metal stick in just a split second. At night, people gather around giant fires, eating grilled beef, singing folk music, drinking wine, and dancing until morning. Argentina is also obsessed with wine festivals. In Mendoza, the country's wine capital near the Andes Mountains, the famous Vendimia Festival celebrates the grape harvest every March. Mendoza alone produces around 80% of Argentina's wine, especially the world-famous Malbec. During the festival, you can watch huge parades, wine competitions, fireworks, and even a beauty pageant where contestants represent different wine regions. Thousands of tourists arrive just to taste wine directly from one of the biggest wine-producing regions on Earth. And then there is tango. Every August, Buenos Aires hosts the massive International Tango Festival, attracting dancers from more than 30 countries. Entire streets turn into open-air dance floors, where professionals teach tourists how to dance, while orchestras perform live nearby. Tango was born in the working-class neighborhoods around the Rio de la Plata more than 100 years ago, and today UNESCO officially recognizes it as part of the world's cultural heritage. Number 7. The strange roads test one's courage. In the middle of Buenos Aires, Argentina built a road so absurdly huge that it still holds the world record today. Avenida 9 de Julio stretches around 460 feet wide, making it the widest avenue on Earth since 1980. While most roads have only 2 or 3 lanes, this monster avenue carries 7 lanes in each direction, plus additional side roads running parallel on both sides. Every minute, thousands of cars pour through it like a giant river of traffic slicing across the capital. The avenue was inspired by Paris's Champs-Élysées because Buenos Aires once wanted to prove itself as the Paris of South America, except Argentina decided to make its version even larger and more dramatic. The construction became one of the biggest urban projects in the country's history. Entire neighborhoods were demolished, thousands of residents were relocated, and the project dragged on for nearly half a century before finally reaching completion. Even crossing the street sounds tiring. One tourist recorded the entire walk from one side of the street to the other and found it took 4 minutes and 17 seconds, while typical avenues around the world usually take less than half a minute. But Argentina's mountain roads are even more insane. Near the Chilean border lies the terrifying Los Caracoles Pass, one of the most dangerous roads in the Andes. The highway twists through around 29 brutal hairpin turns stacked tightly against steep mountain cliffs above 10,500 feet. From above, the road looks like a giant snake tying itself into knots across the mountainside. Trucks, buses, and international traffic all squeeze through the same sharp curves, while snowstorms, rock slides, and freezing temperatures constantly threaten to shut the pass down. In severe winters, entire sections suddenly close, and travelers can become trapped high in the Andes for days. And then there's a route that doesn't even look physically possible. The legendary Tren a las Nubes, or Train to the Clouds, climbs through the Andes on a journey lasting nearly 16 hours, across roughly 135 miles of mountains. The train rises above 9,800 feet, crossing 29 bridges, 12 giant viaducts, and 21 tunnels, while looping back and forth along the mountains to gain elevation. At certain points, clouds drift directly around the train cars, making it feel less like a railway and more like something floating through the sky. The most terrifying moment comes at the famous La Polvoria Viaduct, one of the highest railway bridges on Earth, at around 13,845 feet above sea level. The enormous steel structure weighs roughly 1,764 tons. Yet strong winds still make the bridge tremble above a 207-foot drop below. At this altitude, the air becomes so thin that the train carries oxygen and medical equipment for passengers suffering altitude sickness. Number 8. A country with inflation and expensive goods. Argentina can feel strangely cheap and painfully expensive at the exact same time. Because of inflation that recently climbed above 100%, prices sometimes change almost weekly, and many locals rush to spend money before it loses value again. In some years, the peso lost nearly 90% of its value against the US dollar over just 5 years, while inflation once reached an unbelievable 3,000% back in the 1980s. Even today, many Argentinians still save money in hidden stacks of US dollars inside homes instead of trusting banks. What shocks many visitors is how random prices can feel. A simple pair of Nike shoes that costs around $25 in Chile can suddenly cost over $100 in Argentina. A Stanley Cup sold for about $56 in Santiago was reportedly selling for nearly $135 in Buenos Aires. Even a Big Mac in Argentina became one of the most expensive in the world, at around $7.3 more expensive than parts of Brazil, Mexico, and even some areas of the United States. And yet some things are bizarrely affordable. Argentina is still one of the best countries on earth for steak lovers. In certain supermarkets, beef has literally been cheaper than bread, while fancy stuffed bread or pastries could cost the equivalent of $2 to $3. Some cuts of beef were sold for lower prices. You also notice how people shop differently here. Many Argentinians compare prices between 5 or 6 supermarkets in a single day, hunting for the cheapest eggs in one place and cheaper detergent somewhere else. Others buy TVs, phones, or even vacations in monthly installments because inflation can make future payments feel cheaper over time. Some locals joke that the fastest way to lose money in Argentina is simply to leave it sitting still. For travelers, though, Argentina can still be surprisingly affordable compared to Europe or the United States if you budget carefully. A decent local steak dinner might cost around $10 to $20. Hostel beds often range from $10 to $25, while mid-range hotels usually sit around $40 to $90 per night. Domestic buses are long but cheap, and public transport in Buenos Aires costs far less than cities like London or New York. If you travel comfortably for about 2 weeks, including hotels, food transport attractions, and a few tours like Patagonia or Iguazu Falls, you'll probably spend around $2,000 to $4,000 per person. That is often cheaper than a similar trip through Switzerland, Iceland, or Japan, but usually more expensive than countries like Vietnam, Thailand, or Indonesia. Choose a location that fits your budget. And that's Argentina for you. If you enjoyed this journey across one of the wildest countries in South America, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please let us know where you'd like us to explore next. See you in the next adventure.